On July 19, 2026, Spain reached the top of world football again. In a tense final in New Jersey, Argentina resisted for more than 100 minutes until Ferran Torres struck in the 106th minute of extra time. 1 goal, 1-0. A second star above the Spanish crest, 16 years after the night Andrés Iniesta won the first one in South Africa. But this victory carried something even bigger. Spain became the first country in history to hold the men's and women's World Cups at the same time. The nation of Aitana Bonmatí and Alexia Putellas is now also the nation of Rodri, Lamine Yamal, Nico Williams, and a new generation that seems to play without fear. Spain is not simply the new men's world champion. Right now, it is the center of the football world. And yet, if you really want to understand why this country produces players like that, trophies are not enough. You have to look at the streets after dinner. You have to see children using 2 backpacks as goalposts in a public square, while their grandparents argue about the referee from a bench nearby. You have to sit in a neighborhood bar where half the room supports Real Madrid, the other half despises Real Madrid, and everyone believes they could select a better national team. Because living in Spain is not like living inside one giant football celebration. It's more complicated than that, and much more interesting. This is a country that can look completely relaxed from the outside, but underneath that relaxed surface, people are competitive, proud, direct, and intensely attached to where they come from. Spain can unite for a World Cup final, then return the next morning to being Madrid, Catalunya, Andalusia, Galicia, the Basque Country, Valencia, the Canary Islands, and a dozen other identities, all speaking over one another. I had seen the postcards before I came, the beaches, the white villages, the plates of paella, the flamenco dresses, the perfect Barcelona balconies. What surprised me was how little those images explain the country. Spain is not one landscape or one personality. It is a small continent pretending to be a nation. Nearly 50 million people live here, and more than 10 million of them were born outside the country. Spain has 17 autonomous communities, 2 autonomous cities in North Africa, and several languages that are not decorative pieces of folklore, but part of daily life. Spanish is spoken everywhere, but in Barcelona, you hear Catalan. In Bilbao, you see signs in Basque. In Santiago de Compostela, conversations move naturally into Galician. And in Valencia, the local language appears in schools, markets, and street names.
That matters because people here often introduce themselves through their region before they explain the rest. A civilian and someone from San Sebastián may share a passport, but the climate, food, architecture, music, and even the way they occupy a room can feel worlds apart. The Spain of popular imagination is usually the hot, dry south. Northern Spain can be rainy, green, and dramatic, with cliffs that look more Irish than Mediterranean. The center has cold winters, scorched summers, and enormous plains. The Canary Islands sit in the Atlantic near the African coast, while the Balearic Islands live to a Mediterranean rhythm of their own. My first real lesson in Spain was about time. I made the usual mistake of looking for dinner at 7 in the evening. The restaurant was open, technically, but the room felt like a stage before the audience arrived. By 10, every table was occupied, children were still awake, waiters were moving at full speed, and the pavement outside had become an extension of the dining room. People say Spain is slow. I don't think that is quite right. Spain is late, but it is not necessarily slow. The morning commute in Madrid is as serious as anywhere in Europe. Offices have deadlines, trains leave, kitchens work at a pace that would exhaust most people. What changes is the place that social life occupies. Lunch is not always something swallowed over a keyboard. Dinner is not simply fuel before bed. A coffee can become a conversation, and a conversation can easily become the plan for the entire evening. The famous siesta is one of the most misunderstood parts of Spanish life. Most people in large cities are not going home for a 2-hour sleep every afternoon. They're working, studying, commuting, or trying to collect a child from school. In smaller towns, and especially during brutal summer heat, businesses may still close for part of the afternoon. But that rhythm is less about laziness than climate, family routines, and a long tradition of building the day around the hottest hours. What Spain protects better than many wealthy countries is public life. People use their streets. They sit in plazas without needing a special reason. Elderly couples take an evening walk. Teenagers gather outdoors. Parents bring children to bars and restaurants instead of organizing every adult activity away from them. The result can be noisy, very noisy. If your dream is a silent apartment in the center of Madrid, above a beautiful square, I have bad news for you. That beautiful square may still be discussing football at 2 in the morning.
But the noise is connected to something valuable. Loneliness feels less built into the architecture here. Chairs face one another. Neighborhoods are designed around bakeries, pharmacies, cafes, schools, and small shops. Even in a large city, your daily life can happen within a 15-minute walk. This does not mean everyone is happy or socially connected. Spain has the same modern problems as anywhere else. Still, the physical invitation to participate in life is always there. Football grows naturally out of that public culture. Long before a child enters an academy, the game is already part of the family language. Matches are discussed at breakfast, in taxis, on radio programs, and in group chats that never truly sleep. Local clubs are not interchangeable entertainment brands. They carry neighborhoods, class histories, regional pride, and political memory. Real Madrid represents global power, impossible expectations, and a relationship with victory that can look almost unreasonable. Atletico Madrid built an identity around suffering, resistance, and loyalty, even after becoming one of Europe's major clubs. Barcelona is tied to Catalan identity and to an idea of football based on technique, space, and collective intelligence. Athletic Club in Bilbao remains one of the most distinctive institutions in world sport, fielding players developed in or connected to the Basque footballing territory. In Seville, the rivalry between Betis and Sevilla can divide families. In the Basque country, Real Sociedad and Athletic turn a match into a cultural event. In Galicia, Asturias, Valencia, and the Canary Islands, local colors still mean something, even when the biggest clubs dominate television. The Spanish football education is visible in small details. Young players are taught to receive the ball under pressure, to look before it arrives, and to understand where the next pass should go. The best Spanish teams do not treat possession as decoration. The ball is a way of controlling risk. Even the most gifted individual is expected to read the collective picture. That is why the 2026 champions feel connected to the 2010 team without being a copy of it. Iniesta, Xavi, and Sergio Busquets belonged to an era of almost hypnotic control. The new generation has more speed, more width, and more direct attacking threat. Lamine Yamal and Nico Williams stretch the field. Rodri gives the team order. Pau Cubarsí reads danger with the calm of someone much older. In the World Cup final, Spain controlled Argentina, but had to wait until extra time for the answer. That patience was not passive, it was disciplined belief.
The road to this moment was not perfectly smooth. Spain opened the tournament with a frustrating, scoreless draw against Cape Verde. It could have become one of those competitions where beautiful football produces a beautiful excuse for going home early. Instead, the team grew stronger, beat France in the semi-final, and then denied Argentina a shot on target across the entire final. Ferran Torres delivered the goal, Rodri was named the tournament's best player, Unai Simon won the Golden Glove, and Pau Cubarsí was chosen as the best young player. It was not a lucky month, it was a complete performance. Madrid is where all of this becomes national theatre. The capital sits in the middle of the country on a high, dry plateau, far from the sea and with a climate that surprises people. Winter mornings can be genuinely cold, summer afternoons can feel like opening an oven. Yet Madrid lives outdoors whenever the weather allows it, and sometimes when it does not. I expected Madrid to feel formal and administrative. Instead, I found one of the most sociable capitals in Europe. The grand buildings are there, the royal palace, the museums, the ministries and the wide avenues, but daily Madrid belongs to the neighbourhoods. Malasaña changes character from one street to the next. Lavapiés is layered with migration, old residents, theatres and food from across the world. Salamanca displays polished wealth. La Latina turns Sunday lunch into an endurance sport. The Prado alone can justify a visit, but the part of Madrid I remember most clearly is less monumental. It's the light on the upper floors of old buildings near sunset, the smell of coffee from a bar too small to have a proper menu, and the strange ease with which midnight begins to feel early. Madrid is not Spain's most beautiful city in the obvious sense. In my honest opinion, it may be Spain's most enjoyable large city to actually live in, if you can afford the rent and tolerate the heat. That last condition matters. Madrid is no longer a bargain many foreigners imagine. Housing has become one of the country's most painful issues, especially in the capital, Barcelona, the islands and popular coastal cities. Good apartments disappear quickly. Salaries have not kept pace with what newcomers earning foreign incomes can pay. Young Spaniards often live with family longer than they would prefer, not because they lack independence, but because the numbers do not work.
Barcelona is the city most likely to seduce you in the first hour and exhaust you by the end of the week. The setting is almost unfair. Mountains behind it, the Mediterranean in front, Gaudi's imagination rising through the Eixample, and a dense urban grid made for walking. On a clear morning, the city can look like the future as imagined a century ago. But Barcelona is not a theme park built for visitors, and the tension between the real city and the visitor's fantasy is impossible to ignore. Spain received almost 97 million international tourists in 2025, a new record. Tourism supports enormous parts of the economy, but it also changes neighborhoods, pushes apartments toward short-term rentals, and makes residents feel like guests on their own streets. The center of Barcelona can be overwhelming in peak season. La Rambla is not where I understood the city. I understood it better over a slow lunch in Gracia, in a market where people were speaking Catalan, and on ordinary residential streets where laundry hung above bicycles and delivery vans. The city becomes more human the moment you stop treating it as a checklist. Football in Barcelona carries the same tension between the local and the global. Barça is one of the most famous clubs on earth, yet its emotional meaning remains tied to Catalonia. A match is never only a match. Language, history, and identity are sitting in the stadium too. That can be inspiring, confusing, or uncomfortable, depending on what you expect from sport. Spain rarely offers simple identities, and Barcelona is where that becomes impossible to avoid. Valencia, farther south, was the city that made me wonder whether it had discovered the best balance. It has beaches, historic streets, serious food, a major university population, and the extraordinary Turia Garden running through the city where a river once flowed. People cycle, run, play football, and cross the city through a green corridor instead of fighting traffic at every turn. Valencia also teaches an important lesson about Spanish food. Paella is not a generic plate of yellow rice with whatever happens to be in the refrigerator. It is a Valencian tradition surrounded by rules, arguments, and strong opinions. The classic local version often includes rabbit, chicken, and beans, and it is traditionally eaten at lunch. I have seen people become more offended by a badly named paella than by a political disagreement.
My honest view is that Valencia offers one of the best urban lifestyles in Spain. It feels large enough to be interesting and small enough to remain manageable. But the secret is not a secret anymore. Prices are rising, international demand is growing, and the same qualities that attract new residents can slowly damage the life they came to find. Then there is Andalusia, the region that supplied many of the images the world mistakes for all of Spain. Whitewashed villages, orange trees, tiled courtyards, flamenco, religious processions, and long evenings under warm light are real. They are simply not the whole story. Seville is theatrical even when nobody is performing. The cathedral, the Alcazar, and the narrow streets of Santa Cruz create an almost impossible concentration of history. But visit in July and the romance meets physics. The heat can be punishing. The city becomes a study in shade, shutters, fountains, and timing. You understand why people wait until late to eat. At 4 in the afternoon, the street is not inviting you to be productive. It is telling you to make better decisions. Granada is smaller, younger, and more intimate. The Alhambra sits above the city as one of Europe's clearest reminders that Spanish history cannot be explained as purely European or purely Christian. For centuries, the Iberian Peninsula was shaped by Muslim, Jewish, and Christian cultures, sometimes through exchange and sometimes through violence. Córdoba's Mosque Cathedral tells the same complicated story in a single building. Cádiz feels different again, weathered by the Atlantic and surrounded by water. Málaga has transformed itself from a gateway to beach resorts into a confident cultural city, though the pressure from tourism and foreign property demand is intense. The Costa del Sol offers sunshine and convenience, but some stretches feel more international than Spanish. That may be perfect for one person and disappointing for another. Flamenco deserves better than being treated as background music for tourists. At its best, especially in a small room where there is nowhere for the emotion to escape, it is raw and unsettling. You do not need to understand every word to know that something serious is happening. But not every Andalusian dances flamenco, just as not every Brazilian plays samba in the street. Spain is constantly simplified by people who love it from a distance.
Northern Spain breaks the stereotype completely. The Basque Country is green, rainy, prosperous, and culturally self-confident. Bilbao's transformation from an industrial city into a center of design and architecture is impressive, but it still feels like a working city rather than a polished museum. San Sebastián may have the most concentrated food culture I have experienced anywhere. Pinchos look casual, but the best ones contain the precision of fine dining in 2 bites. The Basque language, Euskara, is unrelated to the other major languages of Western Europe. You see it on signs and hear it in schools and family conversations. Basque identity is not a costume put on for festivals, it is lived. Athletic clubs' football philosophy makes more sense once you understand that context. The club is not merely restricting its recruitment, it is turning local continuity into a competitive identity. Galicia is wetter, softer, and haunted by the Atlantic. Santiago de Compostela receives pilgrims who have walked for weeks, but outside the famous square, the region is full of fishing towns, forests, stone houses, and estuaries that produce extraordinary seafood. Galician octopus, empanada, mussels, and percebes have almost nothing to do with the food foreigners expect when they say they want Spanish cuisine. Asturias and Cantabria continue that green northern world with mountains rising close to the coast. If I had to choose the part of Spain that surprised me most, it would be the north. The Mediterranean sells itself better, but the north gives you dramatic landscapes, cooler summers, and food that makes bad weather feel like part of the plan. The price is rain, and sometimes quite a lot of it. Between the famous cities lies what Spaniards sometimes call empty Spain, the vast interior of villages and small towns losing population while Madrid and the coast keep growing. Castilla y León, Castilla-La Mancha, Aragon, and Extremadura contain medieval towns, vineyards, castles, wheat fields, and enormous horizons. They also contain an uncomfortable reality. A beautiful village is not automatically an easy place to live. Jobs, healthcare access, schools, and transport can be limited. High-speed trains connect major cities brilliantly, but in the countryside, a car can still be essential.
This contrast is easy to miss as a visitor. You can travel from Madrid to Barcelona or Seville quickly and comfortably, then discover that a village 40 kilometers from a station feels much farther away. Spain is modern and highly connected, but not evenly connected. The islands present another version of the same contradiction. Mallorca, Menorca, Ibiza and Formentera have coves and clear water that deserve their reputation. They also face severe housing pressure, seasonal work, and an economy heavily shaped by visitors. Ibiza is not only nightclubs. Away from the famous venues, there are quiet villages, farms, and families trying to live year-round on an island priced for short stays. The Canary Islands feel more distant and more unusual. Tenerife, Gran Canaria, Lanzarote, Fuerteventura, and the smaller islands combine volcanic landscapes, subtropical weather, and towns connected to Latin America by generations of migration. Life there can be gentler, but island life has costs. Imported goods, limited housing, and the distance from the peninsula affect everyday decisions. Paradise is rarely as simple for the people who keep it functioning as it is for those arriving with a suitcase. And that is the question everyone eventually asks. Is Spain still affordable? The honest answer is that it depends on where your income comes from. Compared with London, Paris, New York, or Zurich, many parts of Spain can look inexpensive. Compared to a Spanish salary, Madrid, Barcelona, the Balearic Islands, and several coastal cities can feel brutally expensive. Spain recorded the highest unemployment rate in the European Union in 2025, at 10.5%. The economy has created jobs and attracted people, but stable, well-paid work remains harder to find than the sunny lifestyle image suggests. Hospitality and tourism provide opportunities, yet many positions are seasonal. A foreign remote worker earning a Northern European or American salary and a local graduate earning an entry-level Spanish salary are not experiencing the same Spain, even when they sit at neighboring tables. Public health care is one of the country's major strengths, and life expectancy is around 84 years, among the highest in Europe. People walk, eat later but often eat socially, maintain close family networks, and have access to a broad public health system. Still, the system is not magical. Waiting times can be frustrating, the quality of access varies by region, and many residents buy private insurance to get faster appointments. Bureaucracy is another part of life that no cinematic travel video can make beautiful. Getting identification numbers, registering an address, arranging appointments, and proving the same fact to different offices can test anyone's patience. Spain has digitized many services, but there are moments when the system seems to need one document you were not told to bring. Learning some Spanish changes the experience completely. In tourist zones, English can carry you a long way. In a local clinic, a rental negotiation, or a municipal office, it may not. Spain is generally safe, highly walkable, and comfortable for daily life. Violent crime is not the fear most people carry through the streets. Pickpocketing in tourist areas is a more realistic concern. Public transport inside the major cities is excellent, and the rail network makes traveling between many regional capitals unusually easy. Owning a car can be unnecessary in Madrid or Barcelona, and almost unavoidable in a rural village. The climate is both an attraction and a warning. Spain's average temperature has risen sharply over decades. 2025 brought another exceptionally hot year, and the summer tied for the hottest on record. In the south and interior, extreme heat is no longer an occasional inconvenience. It shapes working hours, energy bills, public health, and decisions about where people can comfortably live. One thing nobody had warned me about was how cold some Spanish homes can feel in winter. People imagine a permanently warm country, but older apartments are not always well insulated, especially in places where winter is shorter but still real. A bright day outside does not guarantee a warm living room. Spain teaches you that climate and housing quality are two different subjects. Food helps compensate for many inconveniences. Spanish cuisine is less about complicated presentation than good ingredients arriving at the right moment. A tortilla can begin an argument over whether the center should be runny and whether onion belongs in it. Jamón is judged by breed, feeding, and curing. Olive oil is not a finishing touch, it is part of the grammar of the kitchen. The best meals I had were not the grandest. They were grilled fish near the coast, tomatoes that actually tasted like tomatoes, a menú del día in a family restaurant, bread rubbed with tomato in Catalonia, pulpo in Galicia, and croquettes that clearly came from someone's practiced hand rather than a factory. Tapas are not one fixed cuisine. Sometimes they're included with a drink, as in parts of Granada. Sometimes they're carefully priced small plates. Sometimes the word is simply used to sell tourists an expensive dinner in miniature.
Spanish social life happens around food, but the real luxury is time. Sobremesa, the conversation that continues after the plates have been cleared, tells you more about the country than any famous recipe. Nobody checks the table every 3 minutes to see if you are ready to leave. The meal ends when the people do. Making friends can still take patience. Spaniards are often warm in public, quick to joke and comfortable speaking with strangers. That does not mean you immediately enter their closest circle. Many friendships go back to school, university, or the neighborhood. You may be welcomed to a dinner before you were trusted with a private problem. Consistency matters, so does language. If you stay long enough to become a regular instead of a visitor, doors open differently. Conversation is direct and frequently overlapping. People interrupt because they are engaged, not necessarily because they want to silence you. Volume rises without the discussion becoming hostile. To someone from a quieter culture, the first family lunch can sound like a political crisis. 10 minutes later, everyone is sharing dessert. Spain's history explains some of this intensity. Romans left roads, aqueducts, and cities. Centuries of Muslim rule transformed agriculture, language, science, and architecture. Christian kingdoms expanded southward. A global empire brought immense wealth and violence. The 20th century brought civil war, dictatorship, and after Franco's death, a rapid transition to democracy. The Constitution of 1978 created the decentralized state that exists today, with powerful autonomous regions and arguments about identity that never entirely disappear. Football cannot solve those arguments. Sometimes it reflects them. Club rivalries can reopen old political stories, and the national team has not always inspired the same emotion in every region. But there are moments when the sport creates a shared room large enough for different identities to stand inside it together.
The Women's World Cup victory in 2023 was one of those moments, but it also exposed the country's unfinished struggle over respect, power, and equality. The players won on the field, then had to fight to control the meaning of their own victory. By 2026, seeing boys wearing the names of Aitana Bonmatí or Alexia Putellas feels ordinary in a way it did not a generation ago. That may be as important as any trophy. Now the men's team has added a second world title. Spain arrived in 2026 as European champion and left as world champion. It became the first nation to possess both senior World Cups at once. Madrid will fill with red around Cibeles, children will copy Ferran Torres' finish, and for a while the usual regional and club arguments will become quieter. They will not disappear, nor should they. The strength of Spanish football comes partly from the fact that it is not produced by one city, one club, or one idea of Spain. The winning team draws from different regions, rival academies, and distinct football cultures. The national style is collective because the country itself has no choice but to negotiate difference. So, what is it really like to live in the new world champion of football? It is waking to the sound of delivery scooters on an old stone street. It is ordering coffee at the bar because sitting at a table costs more. It is learning that lunch at 2:30 is normal, that August can empty one neighborhood and overwhelm another, and that a 5-minute conversation may require 15 minutes because nobody wants to end it abruptly. It is having world-class art, reliable public transport, and a lively square close to home while spending weeks trying to find an apartment you can afford. It is feeling safe on a midnight walk, then losing patience with an administrative appointment scheduled 3 months away. It is swimming in the Mediterranean in October and wearing a coat inside an old apartment in January. Spain is not a cheap paradise where nobody works and every afternoon ends with sangria. That country exists mainly in advertising. Real Spain works hard, worries about housing, argues about politics, struggles with unemployment, adapts to dangerous heat, and debates how much tourism is too much. It can be inefficient, loud, and exhausting.
But it also offers something increasingly rare. Daily life is still visible. People have not completely retreated into cars, offices, private gardens, and scheduled appointments. Children occupy plazas. Neighbors know the bartender. Grandparents remain part of the social landscape. Beauty is not locked inside museums, although Spain has some of the best museums in the world. It appears in the route to the supermarket, in a tiled entrance hall, in the light at 9 in the evening, and in the simple decision to put chairs outside. After experiencing many places, that is my sincere opinion of Spain. It is not the easiest country in which to maximize a salary, avoid bureaucracy, or guarantee silence, but it may be one of the best places to remember what the salary is for. The football team understands something similar. Talent matters, but talent alone does not explain a world champion. The ball has to move. Players have to trust one another. Space only becomes useful when someone else sees it too. Spain won by combining individual brilliance with a deeply practiced idea of collective life. Late at night, after the final whistle, the official celebration eventually ends. The trophy disappears behind security. The television crews pack their equipment. But in neighborhoods across the country, another match begins between children who are not ready to go home. Someone becomes Lamine Yamal, someone else insists on being Aitana. 2 jackets mark the goal. Adults continue talking at nearby tables, and the ball keeps rolling under the streetlights. That is life inside the new world champions of football. Not one endless celebration, and not a perfect postcard. A proud, difficult, beautiful country that knows how to turn public space into a living room, disagreement into conversation, and a simple ball into a language almost everyone understands.